what you're seeing.
There are places on Earth people were never meant to find. Places so isolated, so forgotten that even maps avoid them. I spent 12 years exploring jungles around the world. The Amazon, the Congo, the forests of Papua. I survived venomous snakes, flesh-eating insects, tribal territories and storms that wiped entire camps from existence. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for the jungle nobody knew existed. Welcome back to Tales of the Dark. Tonight we are talking about a terrifying survival horror story about an unrecorded jungle, a forgotten tribe hidden from civilization, and the horrifying ritual nobody escapes from alive. My name is Daniel Mercer. I was 34 years old when this happened. At the time I worked as an independent explorer and documentary photographer. Most people online thought my videos were fake. They were. I spent years searching for untouched places hidden from the modern world, and eventually I found one. The expedition started near the Peru-Brazil border. Satellite scans had shown strange land formations beneath heavy forest coverage, massive areas completely undocumented by researchers. That alone was strange. In modern times, almost every piece of Earth is mapped somehow, but this area was blank. No villages, no trails, no records, nothing. Even locals avoided discussing it. The few villagers willing to talk only called it the Green Hell. I assumed they were exaggerating. Every jungle has myths. Every forest has stories. That's how isolated communities work. But looking back now, I should have listened. The deeper I traveled into the jungle, the stranger things became. The wildlife disappeared first. No birds, no monkeys, no insects, just silence, complete unnatural silence. The air itself felt wrong there, heavy, wet, rotting, like the jungle was slowly breathing around me. By the 6th day, my GPS stopped working entirely. Then my compass started spinning randomly. That night I noticed something terrifying. The trees around my camp had changed positions. At first I thought exhaustion was affecting me, but I had photographs proving it. Roots that faced east now faced west. Entire trees moved overnight, like the jungle itself didn't want me leaving. That should have been enough to make me turn back. Instead, I kept going, because explorers are idiots when curiosity takes over. On the 8th day I found the river, black water, completely still, no fish, no movement, and carved into the trees surrounding it were symbols. Human figures with empty eyes, bodies hanging upside down, people kneeling before giant fire pits, ancient ritual carvings, fresh ritual carvings. The cuts in the wood looked recent. That was the moment I realized something horrifying. Someone still lived there. I remember grabbing my camera, immediately thinking I'd discovered an isolated tribe untouched by civilization. I was excited, actually excited. God, I was such an idiot. That night I heard drums for the first time. Low rhythmic pounding echoing through the jungle after midnight. Slow, ceremonial, human. I shut off my flashlight instantly and listened carefully. The drumming continued for nearly an hour, then suddenly stopped. And from somewhere deep within the trees I heard chanting, not words, something older, animalistic. My fire suddenly went out, not slowly, instantly, like someone blew it out beside me. That's when I realized I wasn't alone anymore. The darkness surrounding the camp felt alive, watching. Then I heard footsteps circling the tent slowly, bare feet moving through mud, one step at a time. I grabbed my knife while trying to stay silent. The footsteps stopped directly outside the tent entrance, then complete silence. For several seconds nothing happened. Then a handprint appeared slowly against the fabric from outside, mud-covered fingers pressing gently inward. Human. I held my breath waiting for an attack. Instead, the hand slowly slid downward and disappeared. Then came whispering, dozens of whispers surrounding the camp from every direction. The language sounded impossible to understand. Wet, broken, like people trying to imitate human speech. I didn't sleep at all that night. The moment sunrise came, I packed immediately. I wanted out, but the jungle had changed again. My trail markers were gone. Entire pathways disappeared beneath roots and vines overnight, and hanging from one tree near camp was my backpack, the same backpack I slept beside all night. Something had entered my tent while I was awake. That realization nearly broke me. Then I noticed something attached to the backpack strap, a necklace made from human teeth, and behind me someone whispered softly, "You should not be here, you should not be here." The voice came from directly behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly fell into the mud. At first, I thought the thing standing there wasn't human. Its body was completely covered in thick black mud from head to toe. Bones hung around its neck. Its face was painted with dark red symbols, and its eyes looked wrong, not blind, not empty, just completely emotionless. The figure stood silently holding a long wooden spear while staring directly at me. Then another appeared beside it, then another, then another. My blood turned ice cold. They surrounded me without making a sound. At least 15 figures stood between the trees watching me motionlessly. Men, women, children, all covered in mud and ash. None of them blinked, none of them spoke. The jungle itself had gone completely silent around them. Even the air felt dead. Slowly, one of the taller figures stepped forward. Unlike the others, his body was covered in strange white markings painted across the mud coating his skin. Symbols, the same symbols carved near the Black River. He carried something hanging from his belt. At first I thought they were animal bones, then I realized they were human fingers. The tall figure stared at me for several seconds before speaking broken English. "You came from outside," not a question, a statement. I slowly raised my hands, trying not to provoke them. "I'm lost." The figures surrounding me started whispering softly among themselves. The language sounded wet somehow, like drowning people trying to speak underwater. Then the tall man stepped closer, close enough for me to smell him. "Rotting mud, smoke, blood. You crossed sacred land." I remember trying to stay calm. "I can leave." The moment I said that, every single tribesperson started laughing. Not normal laughter, low, breathless, like they found something deeply amusing. The tall figure smiled slowly. "No one leaves." The jungle suddenly felt smaller, trapped. I glanced toward the trees, searching desperately for escape routes. Big mistake. The moment I moved, 3 spears pointed at my throat instantly. Fast. Way too fast. These people hunted in this jungle their entire lives. I didn't stand a chance. The tall figure touched the strange necklace of teeth hanging from my backpack, then quietly asked, "How many outsiders know you came here?" The question terrified me, because it meant they understood civilization existed. They weren't isolated primitives. They were hiding intentionally. I answered honestly, "Nobody knows my exact location." Silence spread among the tribe. Then the tall figure nodded slowly, and for the first time I saw relief in his eyes. That was the moment I realized something horrifying. They weren't afraid of me. They were afraid of being discovered. 2 tribesmen suddenly grabbed my arms. I fought immediately. Another mistake. The tall figure slammed the butt of his spear into my stomach hard enough to drop me into the mud, gasping for air. Then he leaned down beside me. "You fight now," he whispered softly, "but later you will beg." They dragged me through the jungle for nearly an hour. The deeper we traveled, the stranger the forest became. Massive trees blocked out almost all sunlight overhead. Bones hung from branches tied together with vines. Human skulls, animal carcasses, strange wooden masks rotting in the humidity, and everywhere those symbols. Painted onto trees, carved into stone, drawn in blood. Eventually we reached the village, and honestly I wish we hadn't. The village sat inside a massive clearing hidden beneath enormous ancient trees. Dozens of huts made from mud, bone and black wood surrounded a giant fire pit at the center. Smoke drifted endlessly upward through the canopy. Children ran barefoot through the mud while old women watched me silently from the shadows. Nobody looked surprised to see me. That meant one thing: I wasn't the first outsider they'd captured. At the center of the village stood something massive. A wooden structure built from sharpened logs and bones rising nearly 30 feet into the air. At first I couldn't understand what it was. Then I saw the skeletons hanging from it. Human skeletons, dozens of them. My legs nearly gave out. The tribe forced me toward the structure while chanting softly, and that's when I noticed the marks carved into the wooden posts. Tallies, hundreds of them, every line representing someone sacrificed there. The realization hit me like a truck. Anybody who entered this jungle never came back out. Not because they got lost, because the tribe killed them. A woman suddenly appeared beside me carrying a bowl filled with dark liquid. Unlike the others, her face wasn't fully covered in mud. She looked younger than the rest, maybe early 20s, and strangely terrified. She avoided eye contact while painting symbols across my chest using the liquid, blood, human blood. The villagers began chanting louder around the fire. The tall leader raised both hands toward the sky while speaking in their language. Then suddenly, everyone in the village turned toward me simultaneously, smiling. That was the moment I realized the horrifying truth. The ritual wasn't happening tomorrow or next week. It was happening tonight. The ritual was happening tonight. The realization hit me so hard I almost stopped breathing. The tribe surrounded the massive fire pit chanting louder, while smoke twisted upward into the dark jungle canopy like black spirits rising into the sky. And at the center of it all was me. 2 tribesmen forced me onto my knees before the wooden structure covered in human skeletons. The heat from the fire burned against my face while drums echoed through the village, slow, heavy, like a heartbeat. The tall tribal leader stepped forward holding a long ceremonial blade carved from black stone. Its surface looked stained dark red, old blood, lots of it. The villagers continued chanting while swaying slowly around the flames. Then suddenly, the young woman painting symbols on my chest leaned closer beside me and whispered in perfect English, "Do not fight them tonight." My heart nearly stopped. I turned toward her instantly. "You speak English." Her expression stayed cold so the others wouldn't notice. "Yes, please help me." For several seconds she remained silent, then quietly, "If they think you can escape, they will skin you alive before sunrise." Every part of my body went numb. The drums continued pounding around us. The leader raised the blade toward the sky while the tribe screamed together in celebration. The woman quickly pressed something into my hand secretly, a small sharpened bone, barely large enough to cut rope. Then she whispered, "When the fire dies low, run toward the river." Before I could answer, she stepped away immediately like nothing happened. The ritual began moments later. The tribe dragged animal carcasses toward the fire first. Monkeys, wild pigs, birds. They threw them into flames while chanting louder and louder. Then the leader approached me. The entire village suddenly fell silent. He stood inches from my face, staring directly into my eyes. Then slowly he smiled. "You were chosen." The way he said it sounded proud, like I should feel honored. The leader grabbed my chin hard, forcing me to look toward the skeleton tower behind him. "There are outsiders watching us now." My blood froze instantly. At first I thought he meant cameras somehow. Then I noticed the skulls hanging above the village. Positioned carefully, facing downward toward the ritual, the tribe believed the dead were watching. The leader leaned closer. "Tonight, they watch you join them." The villagers screamed wildly in approval. The leader raised the blade, and suddenly gunshots exploded through the jungle. Boom, boom, boom. The entire village erupted into chaos instantly. People screamed, children ran, the drums stopped abruptly, and somewhere beyond the trees, men shouted in Spanish, "Rescue team." For one impossible moment, hope exploded inside me. Someone found the jungle. The tribal leader looked furious now, terrified. The villagers began panicking while grabbing weapons and torches. More gunshots echoed through the darkness. Then came screaming, human screaming, not from the tribe. From the rescuers, the jungle swallowed them fast. I heard men begging somewhere in the trees, then horrible wet tearing sounds. The gunfire stopped completely. Silence returned. The entire attack lasted maybe 30 seconds, that was all. The tribe slowly relaxed afterward, smiling again. And that's when I realized something horrifying. The jungle itself protected them. Nobody survived here, not even armed rescue teams. The leader turned back toward me calmly while blood dripped down his ceremonial blade. "Now," he whispered, "we continue." The villagers resumed chanting immediately, louder than before, faster. The fire suddenly roared higher beneath the night sky, and hidden among the chanting, I heard the young woman's voice again. "Wait for darkness." The ritual lasted hours, hours of dancing, chanting, smoke, fear. The tribe painted more symbols onto my body while the leader continued speaking to the fire like something inside it answered him. Then near midnight, rain began falling, slow at first, then violently. The jungle storm exploded across the village instantly. Wind tore through the trees while thunder shook the clearing. The massive fire began dying rapidly beneath heavy rain. Darkness spread across the village, the perfect distraction. The young woman suddenly cut the ropes binding my wrists beneath the storm. Then she grabbed my arm hard. "Run." We bolted into the jungle immediately. Behind us, the tribe screamed in rage after realizing I escaped. Torches appeared between trees instantly, dozens of them. They were hunting us now. The woman dragged me through the jungle faster than I thought possible while rain hammered the forest around us. "Why are you helping me?" I shouted. She didn't answer. Branches slashed across my face while we sprinted through darkness. Behind us, the drums started again. Faster now, war drums, then came the whistles. Dozens of tribal whistles echoing through the jungle from every direction. They were surrounding us. The woman suddenly stopped near the black river I'd discovered days earlier. "This is where I leave you." "What?" She pointed toward the water. "Follow the river north until sunrise." "What about you?" For the first time, sadness appeared in her eyes. "My family will kill me if I go further." Family, that word hit strangely. Then distant torchlight appeared through the trees behind us. The tribe was close, very close. The woman shoved a small carved necklace into my hand, bone symbols tied together with vines. "Do not lose this." I stared at her confused. "Why are you helping me?" Lightning flashed across the jungle, and for 1 second I saw tears in her eyes. Then she whispered softly, "Because I chose you." Before I could understand what she meant, she disappeared back into the darkness toward the tribe, leaving me alone beside the Black River while drums echoed through the jungle behind me. The Black River stretched endlessly through the jungle beneath the storm, and I was completely alone. Rain hammered the water so hard it looked like the surface itself was boiling, while distant drums echoed behind me deeper in the forest. The tribe was still searching, and somehow their chanting sounded closer every minute. I gripped the strange bone necklace the woman gave me and followed the river north exactly like she instructed. At first I thought escape was finally possible. I was wrong. The jungle changed after midnight. The trees became larger, older. Their roots twisted above the ground like giant skeletal fingers reaching through mud. And everywhere, those symbols appeared again, painted onto trunks, carved into stone, drawn with blood across bark. The deeper I walked, the more I realized something horrifying. The symbols weren't random, they were warnings. Human figures entering the jungle, then disappearing, over and over again. I walked for hours through rain and darkness until finally exhaustion forced me to stop near a fallen tree beside the riverbank. That's when I noticed the footprints, fresh footprints, boot prints not tribal, modern. I nearly cried from relief. The rescue team, someone survived. I followed the tracks desperately through the mud, calling out quietly. Hello, no response, only thunder. The tracks led toward a small clearing hidden behind thick vines, and in the center I found the campsite. Or what remained of it. Everything was destroyed, tents ripped apart, equipment smashed, blood everywhere. One tree had deep claw marks carved straight through the bark. Another had human skin hanging from a branch. My stomach twisted violently. Then I saw the camera. A damaged video camera half buried in mud, still recording. The battery light blinked weakly. I grabbed it immediately. The screen flickered several times before showing shaky footage. The rescue team, 6 armed men moving through the jungle while speaking Spanish rapidly. Then one of them pointed towards something beyond the trees. The footage zoomed in, and my blood turned ice cold. The tribe, hundreds of them, standing silently between trees watching the rescue team motionlessly, not attacking, watching. Then the footage became chaotic. The tribespeople suddenly vanished into the jungle. The rescuers started panicking. Gunfire erupted, men screaming. The camera dropped into mud briefly, and then something impossible appeared in the footage. Massive shapes moving between trees behind the tribe, not human, too tall, too thin. Their bodies blended into the jungle itself like walking shadows made from roots and mud. The camera operator whispered one terrified sentence before dying. "The jungle is helping them." Then the footage ended. I stared at the dead screen, unable to breathe. The tribe wasn't surviving because they were skilled hunters. Something else lived there with them, something ancient, something protecting that jungle. A sudden whistle echoed nearby, close, very close. I killed the camera immediately and crouched behind the ruined campsite. More whistles answered from deeper in the trees. They found me again. Torchlight flickered between branches in the distance. Dozens of moving lights slowly spreading outward through the forest. They were searching methodically now, hunting. Then I heard her voice, the tribal girl, Daniel, soft, barely above a whisper. I turned instantly. She stood near the riverbank, drenched from rain, breathing heavily. "You shouldn't be here," I whispered. "They know I helped you." Fear filled her eyes now, real fear. "The chief sent hunters. Your father," she nodded slowly. Then thunder exploded overhead while torchlight appeared much closer behind her. The tribe was almost here. She grabbed my arm urgently. "There's another way out." Hope surged through me instantly. "You know how to leave." For several seconds she stayed silent, then quietly answered, "Yes." But something about her expression felt wrong, like guilt, like fear, like she wasn't telling me everything. The whistles surrounding the jungle grew louder now, closer. The hunters were circling us. The tribal girl tightened her grip on my arm and whispered, "If we stay here, they'll sacrifice both of us." Then she looked toward the darkness deeper in the jungle, toward somewhere even the tribe seemed afraid of, and softly said, "Follow me." This is the end of the first phase of this story, but the nightmare is far from over. In the next video, we will continue what happened after Daniel escaped the sacrifice ritual and uncover the terrifying truth about the tribal girl, the chief's family, and the horrifying tradition hidden deep inside the unrecorded jungle. Subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story gives you a nightmare.